with a piece of nothing that held back the nothing. Nothing can stop nothing, and so I carried nothing in my hand to protect me. Perhaps you're correct, but I find that such relativism is often beyond me. Paradox may fuel the planes, but there must be sense to it somehow. Not necessarily, but I haven't time. No, I would like to argue! Welcome back! This is Fall Damage, and this is episode 5 of Let's Go Back in Time and look at Planescape Torment, because it's just so worth it. Today is the second day I'm recording this, and by second day I mean it's over a week after. Today is the 4th of... What's that month? September? October? No, September. I live in a different world, apparently, because I don't know what month we have. But this is the second recording session, so now I am after putting together the first 4 episodes, putting together the intro, putting together the edits, and I must say it was quite fun, quite an adventure too. I had to do a lot of research, a little edits. I lean into the silliness of it at probably around episode 3 and 4. I've really decided to go, let's do that. At the end of episode 4, unfortunately, I crash, which you have seen. Let's just load in. So have I not lost any progress, is what I'm wondering. It's really difficult to say from the loot I have, because this loot is just very non-specific. So I'll just try. In fact, let's ignore these guys. Let's get more humans, right? Well, not really strictly speaking humans. Let's go into the Smoldering Corpse Bar. This is the Smoldering Corpse Bar, and if you are my player, you'll recognize... Well, my player in my D&D campaign, you'll recognize this, because I have used this very image. And one of my recent sessions. Right, there is a plethora of characters here, and I really... Let's just start by talking to Barkis, because he's the barkeep, right? You see a leather-skinned man with just a hint of ashen color to his face. His teeth seem sharper than normal, and eyes are filled with the boredom that comes with having seen too much. His voice is nasal and clipped. "You again, huh? What do you want this time?" "You again? What do you mean? Who are you? What is this place? What can you tell me about patrons?" Yeah, I mean, this seems like a... "Yeah, you again. You got a hearing problem or something now? You was in here about 15 years ago. You all got bobbed up, smashed up the place, and left a pile of coin that wasn't enough to pay for the damages. So you plucked out your own bleeding eyeball and tells me you'll be back to reclaim it when you got 200 coins together. With 15 years of interest, you got about 500 coins. You got the jink pal, I got your eye. Let's try to... Well, my charisma is dreadful, but maybe I can take it or peg it. I don't know how much gold I have. I have only just enough. Yeah, I'll take my eye. It's a deal. He produces a darkened, wax-stoppered, wide-mouthed bottle from his pocket. You hear the sound of liquid sloshing around inside it, along with heavier, squishier noise. Opening it, the stench of some sort of a preservative agent nearly makes you gag. Floating in a viscid muck is an eyeball. You'd better figure out what you want to do with that. Now you expose it to the air, you might as well put a pickled egg in the jar for all the good it'll do you. Make up your mind, Cutter. Pickled egg or not? Yes. Watch it rot. Or tear out your eyeball and place this one in your socket. Let's do that. Got some XP. With a moment of hesitation, you reach into your socket and pop your eye into the palm of your hand. The bartender helpfully severs the optic nerve. Wow, such a helpful bartender. and directs your hand to the jar of goo that sits on the bar. You deposit your eye in the preservative, rub your fingers around the old one, slide it into your empty socket. The pain of this entire operation is incredible. After a moment's thought, you can feel the optic nerve reattaching itself to the new eye, and suddenly you're hit by a flash of memory. Let's absorb it. Okay. A vast expanse of chaotic, ever-changing wastelands stretching before you, a group of humanoid vultures plummeting toward you, cruel weapons ready to strike, and your own shining blade clutched tight in your fist. Now let's... What is that? Would that be Limbo? Humanoid vultures? What would that be? Hey, post-recording fall damage here. I feel like humanoid vultures might be Vrox that appear to be humanoid vultures. So they are chaotic, but they're from the Abyss, so probably not Limbo, although the cruel weaponry also possibly meant that it might not be Limbo. So, yeah, Abyss and Vrox. Hey, post recording fall damage here. I'm literally looking at this right now, and it says Slad. Those are creatures from Limbo, so maybe it was Limbo after all. Who knows? Memory flash. 3 thoughts surround you in the colors of an enemy you can't quite place. Long daggers glisten in their hands, and the light glints cruelly from their exposed teeth. You glance at your scarred hands and know that soon they'll be covered in blood. That's like nothing. An enormous frog-like creature comes bounding over, through, under chaos stuff. That might have been a Slad, so they're from Limbo, right? Slad are the frog people. Headed for you with a mouthful of teeth, you hurl your javelin through the shifting matter and pin the creature to a sudden stone plinth. You have recalled some of your lost fighting skills. Do I? Ask more questions of Barkus. Hurry it up, will you? I get paying customers. What can you tell me about the patrons here?
I don't make it a point to interfere with the lives of the people who give me their hard-earned jink, unless they ask me to. So, over there is Kandrian Planewalker. He's a good one to talk to about any planewalking questions you might have.
We'll talk to him, most certainly.
He's been pretty much everywhere. Down there is Ebb Creekness, an old harmonium basher. Don't hold that against him. And a tout. So, he's a guide. He's got a good heart in him, and he knows Sigil.
I've learned that it is actually Sigil, and I'm going to... I recognize that the council has made the decision, but I'm electing to ignore it. For my whole life, I've pronounced this Sigil, and Sigil just sounds so weird. So Sigil it is. He knows Sigil up and down. Them over there are the Athar and Tagarin. Word of advice, don't deal with them. They might be low rankers in the Fiend hierarchy, but they're still Fiends. Then you got Illquakes over there, not trustworthy, and some Mercy Killers, looking for some poor sod. Dakon the Giftsera is a mystery to me. Don't know much about him, he don't talk much. Finally, you interested in earning some free bob? Sure. Yes, I've just gave you all my money. There's a bobber over there, against the far wall, hanging out in the shadows, who's been trying to work up her courage to slip out without covering her tab. I want you to make sure she don't do that. You do it, you get a free bob here for life. Yeah, I'll do it. So, multiple people to talk to here. Well, first of all, Ebb. Oh. We don't want to talk to Ebb? Oh, Kandrian. We want to talk to Kandrian. Kandrian is the Planewalker. So let's talk to Kandrian. You see a soft-looking man with gentle, far-staring eyes. He dresses in supple leather clothing and carries various implements of use and destruction about his body, such as ropes, spikes, tinderboxes, empty vials of air. He looks half gone, literally. I have never pronounced this word, I don't think, insubstantiality, to his existence, as if his essence had been partially leached away. He focuses those eyes on you, and suddenly you find them gripping and determined. Greetings to you, O Seeker. Greetings. He carefully sets down the mug he's holding and gives you all his attention. I have seen the far reaches of the multiverse and return to tell the tale. I have walked upon the bodies of dead gods. Dead gods is a place in the astral plane, right? Roll the thing. Yes, that's there. And spun moonbeams in the astral ahead of thousands shrieking Githyanki nights. That's just general astral sea. I have passed the edges of existence and watched my essence shiver away before me. What is it I can do for you? The last thing was just very vague. I had some questions for you. I guess I did. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak, and I shall tell you. These questions are so moot. Who are you? I'm Kandrian Ilborn, traveler, dreamer, tale spinner, and so forth. You're a traveler? Tell me of the plains. I am tired, Seeker, so tired. I am fresh back from negation. I will answer that I can for you, but I cannot promise that you will find satisfaction in the answers I give. What would you know? Would you hear of the outer planes, the prime material, or the inner planes? Let's hear about the difference. Oh god. The difference is true essence, Seeker. The inner planes are matter substance, true physicality. They are the building blocks of the multiverse, for it is from them that all belief in the elements spring. The inner planes filter through the ethereal plane, the plane of potential, some say, which forms the elements into the world of mortals. Once past the ethereal plane, one reaches the prime material, where exists all matter of mortals and monsters and myths and machines. It is there that belief is born, and there that the spirits that create the outer planes are born. When mortals die, they pass through the astral plane, a no place that is thought and mental energy itself. It is in all things and in none. It's a paradox, among other things, and it filters spirits into the great ring. Do you comprehend so far? Yeah, sure. It's simple enough. Now the outer planes, where should I start? Do you know the cardinal rules of the planes on which all others are based? Do you know about the components of the outer planes? Do you know about the great ring and its divisions in our hearts? Do you know of the individual planes? Each of these leads to the next, and so it is best to start from the beginning. Okay, this is a conversation. So, let's composition. Start with composition. The outer planes are created of and by belief and thought and faith. They take their imagined form from the prime material plane, shaped into forms that stagger the imagination, built by the accumulation of belief. Belief creates the planes. Belief is power here. Change belief and you can change the nature of reality. The creatures that are born here, the plane-born, like the fiends and celestials, are truly born of the thoughts and concepts of mortals. They each express some sort of ideal, and the more powerful the ideal, the more powerful the being. Thus, the being that symbolizes love is one of the strongest of all. Go on. That's why the power is gods, and some call them live out here. This is where all the faith in them comes, and this is where they are at their most pure and most strong. Their realms are extensions of the very beings, manifestations of their godly essence, all of it informed by belief. Okay, so that's just a Taming of the Great Ring. Among those loose unity of planewalkers, we conceive of the infinite outer planes as a ring surrounds the plane of ultimate neutrality, the Outlands. The spire top with sigil sits in the center of the Outlands. The further one travels away from the spire, the less neutral the plane grows, until it spills into the neighboring planes. Each of these planes impinges on the Outlands, spinning themselves into law and chaos, good and evil. The Great Road marks the demarcation between the Outlands and the gate towns that spring up around the gates to these planes. Beyond the gate towns lie the hinterlands, uncharted territory that is lost to history, that loses thought. Danger lies in the hinterlands. Okay, this is an interesting concept to me. I think I've heard the word hinterlands and I never given it much thought, because I thought that there's an edge at the gate towns, but I guess the Outlands stretches beyond the gate towns? According to this? I mean, you've seen... Let's just roll an image. This is a typical manifestation of how Outlands look, and it's very clearly a floating island. There is no implication that there's something beyond the gate towns. So that's interesting. The outer planes differ by morality, not substance. For you, will divide the planes into 3 sets: upper planes of good, lower planes of evil, and the boundary planes of neutrality. These are then divided further by law and chaos, with the outlands in the middle. Which of these interests you? Holy shit. Lower planes. Like the upper planes, the lower planes are divided into lawful, chaotic, and neutral. Each of them varies in terms of horrors, and what those horrors do to a traveler's spirit, and all of them are best avoided. Which of them would you like to hear on? Okay, so that's within the lower planes. Let's do chaotic planes. The abyss is in some place you should consider going. Where batter's all orderly, the abyss is full of chaos and change, and none of it's pleasant. When it becomes something that approximates normality, that's when you should be most wary of it. It's home to the Tanari, what most primes call demons, and they've got that name for a reason. They are unpredictable and murderous, and the few that you can trust are few and far between. The few I have met who I trust, I still don't trust entirely. They are creatures of chaos and evil incarnate, and if they're putting on a friendly face, who's to say it's not a part of a larger agenda? That's the problem with the Akin, the friendly fiend, and Fall from Grace, the succubus. It's exactly that. Tell me of the rest of the lower planes. Let's talk about the lawful. Although I think that they would. It's just the abyss that they talk about. That's weird. How about Pandemonium? As much as I detest the order of the lawful upper planes, at least they present a modicum of goodness. There are lower planar counterparts, though. Acheron is a place of ricocheting cubes that never see the end to battle, swarming with the souls of the dead humanoids. Batter, he shivers involuntarily. Batter is a place best avoided. Those Batazu, the fiends in the corner there, are but the merest expressions of the deviant corruption embodied in that soulless machine of order. If you want more, talk to them. But remember, all that is bad about bureaucracy and order originates from Batter, and it spreads like a stain across the hearts of mortals. Though there is some knowledge to be found there, it is rarely worth the spiritual rape that plane inflicts. And let's talk about the neutral planes. The neutral planes, They're vile, barely understandable, and they're more insidious on their own that you could ever imagine. Take the Gehenna, for examples. 4 volcanoes in stages of dormancy, floating in an infinite void, each of them somehow alive, and each of them wanting your soul by whatever means they can get it. Populated with Yugloths, the worst of all the fiends in my opinion, and you've got the place. The place of ultimate evil, at least that's what they call it, is the Grey Waste. A no place that drains color from your body and spirit, stealing away even your apathy. And it's the site of the worst battlegrounds in the war down there. Don't get me started. Then you got Carceri on the chaotic side. Ugh, I need a drink. The Grey Waste is also known as Hades. I don't know if they lean into the real world sources here, but the Great Waste is Hades. I wonder if I go to the upper planes and I talk about Isgard, is going to talk about Odin then, because like that's the main dude in Isgard and Asgard and stuff, you know. Okay, let's talk about Carceri. That's a prison dimension. Carceri and its poisonous jungles, acid swamps, destructive waters, strung like a string of rotten pearls nestled within one another. He pauses and looks at you carefully, again fixing you in place with eyes. Remember this, Seeker. Carceri is a prison, home to the Garrulets, of the most dangerous types of fiends there is. The strength of the prison is the strength of the captor, as strong as the prisoner lets it be. Destroy the prison keeper, and the body can escape the red prison. There's almost no other way out, not when the gates close themselves against you and watch you spin off into the vast space surrounding the orbs. Be wary of Carceri, traveler, for its bonds can be greater than flesh. Tell me about the war.
Updated my journal.
Aye, the Blood War. And at the name, your blood feels as if it freezes in your veins. We know something about it. Ilborn doesn't seem to notice, wrapped up as he is in his memories. 2 armies of fiends smashing together pointlessly across the lower planes, slaughtering mindlessly in the name of law and chaos. They'll aggrandize it, of course, but in the end, it's about hate and stupid endeavor that aids none and harms far too many. Okay, so we know about Carceri. Tell me... I think this is... We've done that. So, Planes of the Great Room. Let's look at the upper planes. This whole episode is gonna be just reading Kandrin's dialogue, I feel like, because we're it's like, what? 21 minutes in. Of the upper planes, there are the neutral planes, the lawful planes, and the chaotic planes. What would you know? Let's start with the neutral planes. The neutral upper planes contain the Beastlands, a place of neutrality and goodness with a slight tinge of chaos, where the animals rule in the eternal noon and night. They hold Bytopia, twin paradise of industry and labor, where all work towards the good, and Elysium, the sweetest plane of goodness and calm I have ever come across. Alas, right now, I am not well enough to enjoy any of the restorative effects. What would you hear of now? Rest of the upper planes. Lawful planes. Kandrin gives a small shudder. I am not the best person to speak of the planes of law. For the infinite structure and ultimate patterns they impose frighten me. I steer clear of them, because I value my individuality more than I value my knowledge they bring me. They include the regimented Arcadia, nearest of the good planes to the unbending order of Mechanus, and Mount Celestia, home of the Archons, an island in the Silver Sea. This whole conversation is gonna have a map just swishing around the screen. Okay, tell me about the rest of the upper planes. And then we go to chaotic planes. These are where I feel at home, though I'd steer clear of Isgard for the most part. The endless battles and tests of metal along the floating earthenbergs of the plane don't do much for my disposition. Arborea, though, he sighs. The mountains are taller, the air cleaner. That's where Mount Olympus is, right? I think. I hope. The rivers purer and the game larger than anywhere else. It is a true paradise, a place where passions run high and the wine never ceases to flow. When I have recovered enough of my wits and myself, when we have done with the outer planes, you should ask me of the inner, and I will describe my journey to you. I will return to Arborea's bowers and glades and lose myself for a time. Okay. And so we've done all of these. So, like, no pandemonium, I guess... Oh. Let's go back to the Great Ring, and then we go to the boundary planes. Would that be the Mechanus and Limbo? So he just ignores pandemonium. And some other, too, I think. There are two boundary planes to my mind, and they are diametrically opposed. One of them, Mechanus, is the very essence of law, a place where beliefs fit together, interlocking, turning in a massive machine that is the entire plane. Some folks have it that the gears of Mechanus are the engine that drives the planes. The other plane is Limbo, a swirling morass of chaos that follows no rules, none. And just when a body thinks he's classified its behavior, it goes and changes on him. Or it doesn't. You can't just tell. You just can't tell. I was in Limbo not too long ago, and that's probably why he's messed up. So, like, no pandemonium, I guess. So, like, no pandemonium, I guess. Tell me of your journey. He closes his eyes, remembering. I had a Gesserai guide with me, an anarch who could shape the illogical matter of the plane into forms of his desire. We had thought of the herring of the Sladi. That's the frog people. The chaos creatures call that plane home. It seemed there were more than usual, but then one can never tell what's usual in Limbo. But I digress. In the midst of all of this chaos, we came across a series of huge metal interlocking cubes, like some sort of puzzle box. It wasn't something we had shaped, consciously or not, and we couldn't find a way inside. It was like a bastion of order within the confines of disorder, as seeds of law. That is the best I can explain it. I think this might be something. I think this might be something that when you play this game for the first time you never pay attention to, but this might be something. And this is just like a little mention. Okay.
Updated my journal.
I have updated my journal for this. So I guess it is. I know that it's important then. Outlands. The Outlands are absolute neutrality. Probably the best place for a body to visit in the Outer Planes, outside the Sigil. If you don't want to have a plane's morality forced into your heart, everything balances out in the Outlands, as it should be. For the plane that sits at the center of the Outer Planes, powerless realms are scattered about here, and there are a handful of gate towns that open into the rest of the Outer Planes. The gate towns usually mirror the philosophy of the plane their gates open onto, and if the balance of belief isn't kept in the town slips into the nearby plane. We've seen that multiple times. No spoilers. It's a bad situation for everybody, because few of the folks in the town really want that change, but enough of the Outlands. What more would you know? Let's go back to planes in general. There's a question about negation. Let's ask about that. His eyes cloud over. I went to the inner planes to discover my true essence. I made the mistakes of visiting the negative material plane in order to understand my body's urge to decay and the cycle of death in life. I thought myself protected against the ill effects of the plane with my magic, but I was wrong. The blackness of infinite nothing pressed on my soul, and I was beset by shadows that sought to snuff out my very soul. I lost my way for a time, for an eternity, and nearly lost my existence. I could feel my essence falling away from me, and am even now half gone. Never will I return. Oof. How did you survive?
Updated my journal.
How did I survive? He smiles tightly. With a piece of nothing that held back the nothing. Nothing can stop nothing, you know. And so I carried nothing in my hand to protect me. Do you plan to journey to the ultimate negation yourself? You have the smell of desperation about you. And so I make you this gift. Hold it in your hand when the shadows press in it, and it should protect you and your friends somewhat, should they remain close to you. He passes you a small black token that looks as if it has no dimensionality to it at all. I don't know that I have ever done this. I don't know that I have ever received something from him. But that's so... Yes, it's so worth to just talk for hours in this game. Thanks. Tell me more of the planes. So I've talked about negation, but there was... Oh no, there's just that. Tell me some other place. Prime material. This is the one thing I have. You want to know of the Prime? Visit it. The boundless worlds of that plane have an infinite variety, as do the planes. But I cannot encapsulate them as I have here. Suffice it to say that they are the birth of the outer planes, the children of the inner, and there holds limitless potential within their boundaries. That is not very much information. What are you doing? I am fresh back from negation, and I'm trying to restore my essence before it slips away from me altogether. Okay, so I've kinda talked about this. What is this place? Unless the cosmos has shifted and we have been spun into the mazes, I would say that we're in the Smoldering Corpse Tavern. Mazes? Aye, the mazes where the lady dumps those who've displeased her. He makes a small semicircle over his heart as he speaks the lady's name. If you'd know more of the lady in the city, find a tout or some such guide. You're literally talking to a tout. I might... Yeah, thanks. So, I think we have... Farad grew up to be a collector. How long ago was that? When I set out last, he was but an officious stripling in one of the upper wards. Time does change people. No, Seeker, I don't know Farad anymore. I'm willing to bet. Interesting, I didn't expect him to actually say something important. I received a negative token. Hold shadow creatures temporarily. Okay. Okay. Here, Morte, hold this. Woof. Let me pause this for a second. I need to restore my throat. Alright. Let's continue. I want to talk to Ab. You see a slightly stooped old man with a grey beard and a lion's mane of grey hair. He smokes a pouch of tobacco, pretty strong, little plump, breathing trouble. Okay. Well now, aren't you a sad lad? Never have I seen so many scars blanketing a fella. Like a scar cloak we're wearing? Where you been? Hanging out in the grain treasure? She laughs. Oh, I'm just jesting with you. No offense meant, and I hope no offense taken. I'm Ab. Greeting apps. Now I hereby tender my apologies for the unfair jesting, lad. Hope no hard feelings. Can I buy you a tankard or two? Yeah. No. Why not? That's the spirit, lad, by the moment. He rises to his feet and heads to the bar. After a moment he returns his seat to a pair of tankards. Here you go, lad. Drink up. He takes a massive swallow from his own tankard, puffs on his pipe and says, "What can old Eb do for you on this fine sigil day?" I've had some questions about this place. Oh, well, I gathered that. Just look at you. I mean, you don't look like you're from around these parts, lad. You look a little too out of sorts to be seasoned native. Eb chuckles, takes another drink. So what can I help you with, lad? You need to know the lay of the land? Tell me about the city and its environs work. Yeah, sure. This is... yep, I guess this is a second giant conversation. You don't think small, do you? If you want to know what's outside the city, go talk to Kendra. Yeah, I'm done that. Actually, tell me of... ooh, okay, see, all of these are precious informations for us. And for me, because I would like to remind myself all of this. And again, like I said, I'm months too late for replaying this. Tell me of the lady. Well now, not many know much about her, lad, and I'm figuring even those that know more than a little don't know too much more. She's a mystery, she is, and even should you run across her, powers forbid, she's silent and deadly. She's not evil, as far as I can tell, but she keeps the dark about herself and sigil pretty tight. None been able to penetrate it, and if they have, they've been mazed. I know what mazed means. Go on. Chances are you won't meet her unless you do something really bad, hurting a lot of people, killing a Dabus, challenging her rule, worshipping her. She hates that, we figure, or interfering with a Dabus' work, which may as well be the lady's work. If you're lucky, just the mercy killers will come for you. But if she comes, you'll be dead as soon as her shadow falls on you. Please continue. Now the lady can do almost anything in Sigil, lad. Near as we can figure. Make it bigger or smaller, make new portals, seal off old ones, make sure the blood war don't break out in the streets, keep folks from teleporting into the city, keeping the powers out. Who are the powers? It's another way of saying gods, lads, and there is a great horde of them across the plains. They can't come to Sigil though. The lady has a way of keeping them out that she hasn't spilled the chant to yet. But that as it may, it's kept Sigil from being seized by outside interest. I had some more questions. What else did you want to know about the cage? Is the music too loud? I hope the music isn't too loud. I just turned down the music a little bit just in case. What else do you want to know about the cage? Tell me of Sigil's time. The way we measure time in Sigil is by the brightness of the sky. See, we haven't got the sun and the moon like the most worlds. We just got this everlasting haze that brightens and darkens at regular cycles. What most folks call midnight, we call anti-peak. What you call noon, we call peak. See, it's based on a peak and anti-peak of the brightness. So when someone says about something 5 hours past peak, that's what they mean. And that's different from what I do in my campaign, because I think also the sigils, yeah, 2 images on the screen right now. So that's 4 of the new one. On the left you see the sigil that I think he talks about, and then on the right you see the sigil that is like the most, I think, more modern approach to sigil, and you see that they have some similarities, but they're vastly different in concept. That one of them has a sky, and the other one is just closed off, and there is no natural light. So he's definitely the Halo Ring option, Ebb Creek House, and this game, in my campaign, I'm doing the other one, the Taurus. Anyway, yeah, so I have more questions about Sigil. I want to see the city's layout. Oof, let me wet my tongue, and I also do the same. The city floats above an infinitely tall spire, the spire. Lies on its side like a discarded wagon wheel, but there is no spokes that connects it to the spire. It's divided into 6 wards, each of them with its own function. Right now, you're in the Hive. I think the purpose of the Hive is to be the squalor to the rest of the city's grandeur, he laughs. Factions, philosophical clubs, or gangs if you prefer, divide up the running of the city between them. Were you in a faction? Oh, now hold on, lad. I'm no has-been faction member, they say, and they write that once you're one of the Harmonium, you're Harmonium for life. We're the Bloods that try and make sure Sigil stays out of trouble. No rocking the spire, no folks getting too over-enthusiastic about hurting each other, keeping the city down to low roar. We try and keep the peace, lad, and most times we do a decent job. Okay. Okay, let's go back to go on. The city is called the Crossroads of the Plains and the City of Doors and the Cage. It got portals to all creation, they say, and all manner of beasties come through here to trade, call kip, or hop from one place to another. Now, that's just a quick version, lad. You have to experience the place for yourself. Portals? Such is called the City of Doors for a reason, lad. There's portals everywhere. Portals are, well, like doors that leads across the multiverse, except they don't look like doors. Instead, they can be any bounded space: window, door, pothole, picture frame, barrel hoop, the spaces inside the scaffolding, a wardrobe. Each could be a portal waiting for you, just the right key to open it and take you someplace in the multiverse. Now, keys. Oh god. Each portal has a key you need to open it. We've already experienced a portal in the mortuary. Go, go, go. Portal. Now, while portals can be any bounded space, keys have more variety. They can be anything from a little tune you hum when next to a portal, to a dancing a jig, to being in the right mood, or having a piece of the place you want to go in your hand. On and on and on and on. In my mouth. I once convinced a girl that kissing a man beside it could open a portal to Arcadia. Turned out I was right, and many trips to Arcadia did we have. Many portals probably have never been found. There's some you can uncover just by asking people and getting the right key. Finding out the dark of a portal is the toughest part. But I warn you, lad, portal hopping shouldn't be a pastime for a fella in your way. Nor should you be wandering Sigil after dark, neither. You'd do best to stick to the main ways, in open peak, and watch yourself. Okay. Keys and portals I've already... yeah, I guess I know that now. The Dabus. The funny floating... yeah, we know about the Dabus. Pretty neutral faring bunch. You don't want to interfere with one or kill one, or you blink the lady's wrath real quick. Okay. What other places can you recommend? Best kip you could have, wandering into the room. In which case, there's Tattoo Salon, yeah, I know. Alley of Dangerous Angles. Ignis torched the place not too long ago. Ignis is right there. Captain Stretch. Okay. I think he's definitely told me most. Who are you? Okay, let's just, ask about him too. Third measure of the Harmonium. Puffs up silty in his bride and gets a semi-stern look on his face. Aye, third measure of the Harmonium, he relaxes a little. Though I haven't served a tour duty in many a decade, pushing a quill wasn't quite up my alley after the fights and skirmishes I've been in. So I just bide my time keeping tabs on things down here in the hive and helping out a little where I can. And you look like someone who might need a hand. Are you in some kind of trouble, lad? A few troubles. What fights and skirmishes you've been? More than I can remember. Well, almost more than I can remember, leastwise. I did an all too long tour in the Blood War, that infernal muck-up war of lies and terrors. Far too many years in the Black Centuries War. That begins to tick off the wars of his fingers and count silently to himself. There have been the Three Plains War, many others. I even took part in the Harmonium War of Liberation. Oh, towards the end there, I was also in the Sigil City Watch. Some should argue that the most dangerous of them all. He laughs loudly. The mention of the Blood War feels like a cold dagger slipping into your heart. Again. Tell me more about the Blood War. Aye, the Blood War, the most dangerous family feud this side of the primordial soup. A mean-spirited mob of fiends on one side, a batch of warmonger fiends on the other. It's the war that creation sparked and that they've been digging into each other ever since. Yeah? Aye, the Tanari, vicious killers who cared for none but themselves, and the Bathez war machine. awful law and order until they're under their infernal rules. The whole mess spills out into the outer planes from time to time. And it's made the multiverse a less pleasant place to live. Fine. I think... Wait, but there is something... What makes you think I'm in trouble? Let's be just honest, he seems like a nice guy. Eh? What was that you said, lad? That you woke up in the mortuary? Oh no, did they mistake you for dead under all that scars may have? Chuckles. Can't say I would have been any smarter. Them dusties. I mean, them dust, man. Dust is being a rude term to refer to the pale fate fellas, and I don't mean them too much disrespect. They have all the perception and friendliness of a gravestone sometimes, eh? Can't say I couldn't see them screwing that up. That's what I've heard. Right, let's... Oof. There is more people here. There was somebody I was supposed to talk to before they slip out without paying. A girl, mayhap? Well, that's probably you. A female dustman, half-empty glass in the right hand. As you near her, she calls out to you. You, over there. You notice that there's something wrong about her, and your exposure to the dustman leads you to believe that she's just too lively to be a real member of the faction. Ah, smart. Approach her. Hey, Cutter, buy a lady a drink? Well, that does not sound like a dustman at all. Why would you say that? Because you don't like a dusty, and you're not offering contracts. In fact, you're taking money instead of giving it out for that corpse labor they do at the mortuary. She stifles a squeak of terror. Hastens to explain. No, I'm not a dustman. I just found these robes in the street and I didn't have enough money to get good clothes, and I heard there was a dustman thief around, but you could possibly find him somewhere else in the southeast part of the hive. I saw him, but I hid from him. Please don't hurt me. What? What are you talking about? Give me some money. No, I'm not planning on it. I've got some questions. What do you want to know? Barkis says it's time for you to settle your tab. She jumps a little. What are you going to do? Ask you to pay up. I can't afford it. Can you spot me just 10%? Can you spot me just 10%? I'll give it to him and he knows I'll pay the rest. How much do you need? 100 coins! Poison her drink with the embalming fluid? What? I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. I'll be back with some money. I guess I'm gonna be a goody good guy. There's some... What does the random patrons say? Oh my freaking god. Who is that burning in the entryway? Ignis, he attempted to burn down a portion of the city sometime back, remember? Centuries? And was punished by being turned into a living flame. Nasty fate, but fitting for a known pyromaniac and arsonist. From what I have to read, it'd be best to leave him all well alone. How do you know such much about this place? Aren't you a prime? The uncle Seelan and I share is a wizard. What? The uncle Seelan and I share is a wizard. Okay, who makes this his home here. He brings his relatives to the plains on occasion to show them the delights and horrors of the multiverse. I wanted to be sure I was ready for the trip, and so I prepared myself extensively. I probably know more about the city than my cousin who lived here in his entire life. She gestures despairingly at the men. Oh, that's quite an uncle. So, what's about the sigil? He's not my friend, telling me. Center of the multiverse. Despite all the corning gods to do over, despite the sheer variety, subtraction of Horicon Lates, there's no place like this in the cosmos, and he's telling me it's nothing special? Huh. That's an interesting perspective. Perhaps you both have elements of the truth. Perhaps you're correct, but I find that such relativism is often beyond me. Either the place is important, or it is not. Paradox may fuel the planes, but there must be sense to it somehow. Not necessarily. but I haven't time. No, I would like to argue! Damn it. Looking for a collector. No. Oh. Is he one of those haulers of the dead, the poor folk who collects the hive's innumerable victims for money? Yes. From what I understand, they mostly congregate in the areas of the hive that are farther down farther from the mortuary, where there is more life and more violence. Your best bet might be concentrate your search away from the house of the dead. Nice, thank you. There's this voice, I don't know if you can hear it. It's so creepy, that's just there in the background. What can you tell me about this place? You're from the Prime. What does it mean? Where are you from? She cocks her head and looks at you oddly. The Prime Material Plane, the place where all the beliefs of the outer planes are shaped. The place where the beliefs of the outer... The place where the belief the outer planes are shaped of its born. This sentence doesn't make any sense to me. Hold on. I'm gonna pause my brain for a moment. She cocks her head and looks at you oddly. The Prime Material Plane, the place where the belief the outer planes are shaped of its... What is wrong with me? The place where the belief the outer planes are shaped of is born. The world, stars, moons and so forth, belief in reality. I sure hope you know what the Prime is, because it's an essential part of the planar knowledge. I knew that. Okay, well... You're from the Prime? Visiting. The Prime is a fine place to live, but a little too real, I suppose. My uncle gives me... Yeah. Okay, no. I like that she's just a patron and she was so interesting. So that's her cousin, right? Who are you? I'm Cillian Iron Toes. Before you ask, I got the name because my idiot dropped a 50-pound stone on my feet and crushed my toes. And now I have iron toes, alright? Alright! Who are you? Oh, that's the same thing, okay. What can you tell me about this place? This is Smoldering Corpse. I have brought my greenhorn clueless Prime cousin here to see some of the sights, smells and sounds of Cyril's beauties. So far, she remains unimpressed. I can see why. Ah, my cousin, she stresses the world as if to emphasize that she has no choice in this acquaintance. Has recently come here from her backwater Prime world. My uncle, a renowned wizard, brought her here to expand her horizons. She labors under the illusion that this is the center of the multiverse, and she thinks it is somehow important. Since I've lived here my whole life, I know otherwise. It's a place of the powers and planebursts overlook, just as humans overlook the squirrels in their city parks. It's not important, and the sooner humans come to realize that they're not important, the better off they really are. Really? I'll have to hear her justification of this. In the meantime, can you answer some of these questions? Okay, so can I now... Can I say... Okay, there's nothing else here. Okay, never mind. Whoa! So the whole episode... Okay. This... Where is this woman? Is she still here? Okay, she is still here. Who are you? See a short, round man with a perplexed expression on his face. From the lines on his loose skin, it looks like it's not too uncommon. He carries a flagon of ale that looks like it's in the process of being emptied, rapidly. In between swallows, he speaks in a gentle voice, so quiet that you can barely hear his words. Hello, traveler, my name is Ilquix. Can I be of some assistance? Who exactly are you? I'm just a humble man with a slight, flowery, potential bent and a tendency toward the supernatural. I regret I have none of my supplies here. I should be the most eager to teach you the ways of power. Ooh. Wait. I'm trying to find a way to make this mock I pay for. Oh, okay. He laughs. You could always poison her, friend. It does that always effective in bringing us into nearly any conflict. Of course I'm joking, he winks. Of course you are. I already had that prompt. What can we tell me about patrons? Abishai taint the air with their presence, leading an unwholesome stench to an otherwise pleasant environment. I recommend speaking to Barkis. I understand he requires some aid with the tiefling, trifling matter. Then we have the O character. I'm still trying to understand him fully. It is quite an undertaking, and I say so if I say so myself. Those are the folk of interest here. The others, well, perhaps I am too discriminating. Why do you despise creatures of law? Ah, fine question, my friend. My upbringing has been one of the chaotic side of the Great Rings. You may speak to Kandrin Ilborn, a misnomer if ever I heard one, of the plains. He fancies himself a grain planewalker. To return from my digression, I have lived many years with chaos and find it pleasantly agreeable. To me, the taint of law, as in those creatures there, is reprehensible and tyrannical. If I am to be crushed underfoot, I'd rather it be by an individual that a machine that knows nothing of emotion. Right. I personally am a person of chaos, so I'd say that I probably very much agree. Euclid smiles toothfully, his fat cheeks barely moving. To each his own, I'd say. Did you have more questions? Yes, maybe. Tell me about this place. Smoldering Cope's Tavern, fine establishment with a fine owner, Barkis, true gentleman, ambitious to increase his standing to boot. These I feel are the most useful qualities a man can possess. They drive people. Many would agree with you. Farewell. Okay, let's look to O. You see a man standing shocked still. He isn't moving a muscle. On closer examination, it appears that he isn't even breathing, just standing. His eye sockets are empty holes in his face. Contained within their bounds is a flat grey light that seems to dance with possibility. Looking into the sockets, the eerie, empty feeling of a limitless void shivers through you, as if you had gazed into a sliver of eternity. Sliver? What's that word? The head slowly swivels towards you. You notice that no muscle appeared to move under his skin as he turns, and he speaks in a pure, bell-like tone. Well met, wanderer. You have forgotten again, haven't you? Ooh, I know you. Do you know me, stranger? As he opens his mouth, you get the feeling of eternity again. Inside his mouth, you see no tongue, no teeth. It's almost as if this man were a shell surrounding an illimitable expanse. I have spoken with you before, and always you forget. Your endless quest to discover yourself ends always in your amnesia. You draw close to truth and recoil. Let us hope that you have the strength to endure your existence. What do you know of me? How do you know this? I know that you, like a fly, rise up from the wreckage of your old shell, buzz about for a time and curl up and die at the window of truth. You bumble about the pain, seeking the light without any plans to your action, and fall exhausted when you fail. You alight on others, you feed from them for a time, and move on with no regard to them. I have watched you come here and listened to your words, and watched you move away no wiser. Will you learn from your mistakes, Seeker? Attack him. Those are all bad options. Who are you? I am O. For some reason, when he speaks his name, it sounds like he's speaking of much more than a single letter. As if the speaking of his name contained untold possibilities and nuances. No human tongue could ever create such a sound. What are you? It is my name. It is the name of a portion of eternity. I am a letter in the divine alphabet. Understanding me leads to understanding existence. I am writ in the true name of half of everything. My being encompasses truth. I am mathematic, organic, metaphysic. I think you're really crazy. So what does that really mean? Yeah, what does it really mean? The divine alphabet is writ in the name of everything that exists, from the seed at the hearts of the elemental planes to the core of the great beyond. My brothers and sisters. A single word translates into the two in your mind, and I reach across all that is, was, or ever shall be. We are thought and reality, and concept and the unimaginable. So what are you doing? Ooh, those are all good options this time around. Let's do that. I know parts of many of them. Without a connection to my brothers and sisters, I am but a letter. Alone, I am a symbol. Combined, we are language and power. So you don't know the secret of existence. I did not say that. A letter is still a powerful force, even on its own. Allow me to show you. He opens his mouth wider and wider still. The mask of his face tears around his eyes, mouth and nose, revealing that hint of eternity you glimpsed earlier. You are lost in it, adrift in it, a part of it. You return to your mundane senses and realizes that O has vanished. Yet somehow your horizons have expanded. Enlightenment has brushed you, however briefly, across the brow. Oh, my wisdom increased by 1. Perfect! Great! I love it. I had more questions to him, so that's a shame. But I will take the wisdom. What are you? Who are you? I am Andor. You said to be a hell of a fight too. Used to be a hell of a fight man too. But that's before the bub took a hold of me, so the alcohol. Friends called me Slappy because I was so good at doing it to people. Now they call me Slappy because so many women do it time when I talk to them. Okay, do it to me when I talk to them. That's great. Can you answer some questions? Maybe he knows Farrett. Farrett? The name sounds familiar, but you know how it is when you don't pickle your head with Bob. I'm sure I just can't remember. You've got my apologies. What can you tell me about this place? This place, Smoldering Corpse. Best place in town for a drink. Leastways, long as you don't mind drinking. Near a fiend or two. Nor if you don't mind Red Death poking their heads in on an occasion. Lots of people here. Lots of interesting things. Lots. Right. I don't know what Red Death. What's Red Death? Mine Red Death. Google!
Red Death means mercy killers. Red armor.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. That's just nothing. Maybe one day I'll have something interesting for him. I shall talk to Dakon, and we'll finish the episode on Dakon. Dakon is the potential ally, and I think I'm gonna take him. There's 6 slots. I don't know the composition of my party for sure. This is another party member, but he comes later. But he is a pure wizard, and I'll be the pure wizard, so I think I might not want him. He's a wizard / warrior. So, yeah. The man before you is old. His dry yellow skin has the scars of one who has traveled everywhere and never rested long in any one place. His pinched face is inhumanly angular, and his ears sweep out from his skull, tampering to the points. He wears a loose-fitting orange tunic, and a strange shimmering blade is strapped across his back. The blade looks to be a 2-pronged glaive made of some metal, with whose surface swirls like a film of oil on a pond. Greetings. Man turns to you, his eyes are like polished coal. He stares through you, and for a moment you wonder if he might be blind. The weapon suddenly turns a dead flat back, mirroring the man's eyes.
Hail,
are you alright?
Traveler.
He speaks. He says nothing for a moment, merely searches your face with his eyes. Hail, traveler. His voice is quiet and somber, like a wind whispering through the branches of a great tree.
Your eyes have the weight of one who has traveled far to be in this place.
You could say that. I like how he talks, so I don't have to. And then he's done. I am known as Dakan. The emphasis he places on the word known strikes you as odd, yet familiar at the same time. You are not known to me. I am a visitor to this city. Or I should say, you are not known to me? Yes, we are beneath the same sky at this matter then. Dakan is silent for a moment, still studying you with his coal black eyes. The planes number many infinites. Yet you are here. I would know why you have come to this city. I'm looking for answers. Ooh, you feature unfamiliar to me. A Gifsarai. That's not. I've talked to a Gifsarai in the street. A Gifsarai. A Gifsarai is one of the people. One of the people? A Githzerai. Yes, but what are Githzerai exactly? Dakan is silent for a moment, then speaks. Our history day does not need to be made known to you. We would bleed to death on Time's blade before I recited a fraction of the histories of our people. I don't need to know your histories, but I would know of your people as they are now. Dakan is silent for a moment. Know this and accept it as an answer. We are the people who make it our home upon the shifting plane of limbo. BAM! Map! With a death motion, Dakan slips the blade from his back and holds it before him. Wait, see what happens. There we mold the matter of limbo with our minds. We forge cities with our thoughts. As you watch, the series of rippling waves of metal begins to roll forth from the center of the blade. The pitch and crest of the waves match the inflection in Dakan's voice. In its chaos we dwell, with only our knowing to preserve us. We are the Githzerai. Yep. It is a Karach blade. It is an object that lets others know the rank of the wielder. What does that mean? Dakan fails silent for a moment, as if searching for the correct word. In your tongue, the closest translation is chaos matter. The people may shape it with their thoughts. The people? The Githzerai. Yes, I know. You say the Githzerai can shape this with their thought. Karach is not shaped by heat, but by knowing oneself. It is a mirror that reflects the will of the wielder on its surface and its edge. When one knows themselves, the blade is strong, harder and stronger than steel. When one does not know themselves, the blade is as water, formless and weak. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. That's what rank. The blade is a symbol carried by the Zerf. A Zerf is one who knows the word of Zerthimon. It is knowing the word of Zerthimon. They know themselves. In knowing, they know themselves. Zerthimon founded our race. He knew the Githzerai before they knew themselves. He defined the people. He gave them one mind. Okay. You seem to place a special emphasis on knowing. All things, whether structure or flesh, their existence is defined by their knowing of themselves. And if a man does not know himself, when the mind does not know itself, it is flawed. When the mind is flawed, the man is flawed. When a man is flawed, that which he touches is flawed. Dakan pauses. It is said, what a flawed man sees, his hands make broken. Do you know yourself? Dakan falls silent. His coal-black eyes take on the same distance that you noticed when you first spoke. I ask again, do you know yourself? When Dakan speaks again, his voice has changed. His words echo like a great stone dropped into a chasm. It looks like he's forcing the word from his chest. It is not my will that you know this. Oh, I don't want to be rude. Never mind, I had some questions. Can you tell me about the city? It is known by the name of Sigil. Among the people it is known as the city that does not know itself. The city exists, but it does not know itself. In not knowing itself, its existence is flawed. You speak of the city as if it's alive. It may not be aware and know itself in the sense that you or I might know ourselves, but it lives, it grows, changes, and it touches the minds of all that live here. The city exists in opposition to itself. It sets itself apart from the planes, yet it seeks to be everywhere at once. Its walls are doors, and yet it keeps those doors locked. Such an existence tells of a thing that does not know itself. In not knowing itself, it is flawed. We say the city is everywhere all at once. Okay, I have some options here. Truth. What if the city is not flawed? A thing does not need to be ordered and have a purpose to know itself. What is these contradictions or strengths that you cannot see? I like that. What if the city is not flawed and you just don't know the reasons for its contradictions? There is no order and there's an underlying... No, I don't like that one. You speak as if that's my brain options. Let's go with this one. So your question's a question. What if the city is flawed and you see its contradictions all around you? truth to your question a question. You call the city's existence is flawed. You have accepted this rather than explore the possibility that something greater may exist that suggests you are flawed and that you do not search for knowledge but only for a convenient answer. Jesus Christ, this game. I love it so much. Dakan falls silent. There is no knowing the answer to the question we have asked, yet the city exists. That is all. Yet I will maintain that we know ourselves by the question we ask, and the ones that we do not. If we cease asking questions and accept only what we can perceive, we got experience for that, then we will cease to know ourselves. Dakan's voice changed slightly and become heavier. Such words have been spoken before. I have heard them and know them. Where have you heard them? The words are mine once. I knew them, and I knew their meaning. I had forgotten them until you spoke. Dakan's gaze travels through you, and his blade stops shimmering, bleeding out off all color until it is translucent. There is a moment of silence, then Dakan looks up to you. I would travel your path with you. I accept.
Your path is mine.
Very well. Let's go. I have got a guy.
Endure. Your will be done.
And I think that with this, I should stop this episode because it's a really long one and I have done nothing but recite it. So I'm gonna take a break for the next episode. This is a game where there's a lot of talking, so I knew that coming in, but this episode has been very talky. I will see you in the next one. And man, I hope you didn't die while listening to all this of old age. Thank you for watching. Fallout.